Let me tell you something. I look back over how many years it's been since we've been doing this. And I really want to give you your props for sticking through it through the hard times and the thin times and discouraging times and you don't know what to do times and how I'm gonna get through this times. And God has given you a special gift and anointing for doing this kind of thing. Because a lot of folks would have given up. But I have a lot of admiration for you, man. I know we clown a lot with each other and everything, but I have a lot of admiration and respect for you, especially regarding this type of ministry, because this is not an easy ministry. Because the people that come are not brought by themselves, but have to get the parents to go out and bring them, and sometimes that don't work out. And you have to go out and go adjust your own schedule with your family to go get them or prepare for them or bring them in or whatever. I want you to know, man, I appreciate that. And that stuff is not taken lightly. And there's a lot of young people, a lot of them that are adults now, that have been affected and touched just by what you're doing. And then whenever you think you haven't done much or not doing much at all, remember this, you are a big part of their lives, of them becoming who they are. And sometimes they might have went and done something that they shouldn't have done, but because of you being imparted into them all these years, they can impart the same stuff into their children. Because now I think we started doing stuff with their children too, haven't we? So that's okay. But anyway, thank you for letting me come. That's my little moment right there. You know when it gets right here, you know. Whew. All right. Anyway, I'm understanding this is a rap session. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm ready to be chimed in anytime you get ready. But I'm going to start with something. I guess I want to talk about something that's very important, fellas. And I know it's probably a few females and stuck up in here too, which is fine. You need to know it too. But I want to talk about something important. And that very important thing is you. And you might say, I'm talking about me? Yeah, I'm talking about you. You're very important. As this male that has come here, and as a male, you create this, you have the seed that is going to help perpetual generations, that's going to go forward throughout time. You are so unique especially as a male. The male can produce till they die, till we die. You are the bearer of important genes, the bearer of important names, the bearer of important things that have to be brought in so that God's destiny can be fulfilled. Don't ever think that you're a mistake or that you're not playing or anything of that sort. That devil is a lie. Let me tell you how special you are. I think y'all heard me talk about this before. You're so unique that out of 7 billion people on this earth, you are the only one like you. There's never been one like you before. There's no one like you now, and there will never be another one like you again. That's how unique you are. You're so special that the hairs on your head, God counted them. He literally put a number on each head on your head. He didn't count them, but he numbered them. In other words, you can pull out any strand of hair out of your head and hold up to God, and God can tell you what number hair that is. That's how unique you are. There might be other people that look like you on this earth, but they're not you. You might even have a twin, but that twin is not you. That's how special you are. You're so unique. I don't care if people tell you that you was an accident. You wasn't playing. I don't care how you conceived. It doesn't matter how you got here. The fact is you have a purpose on this earth, because God, if you didn't, God wouldn't allow you to be here in the first place. He would not have allowed you to be born. He would not allow you to be conceived in the beginning. He had, before there was an is, or what, or where, or when, God had called you by your name and predestined for you to be here for a certain time, for a certain season, for a certain reason, in a certain place. That's how special you are. And as males, we have to stick together. As males, we have to find a way to make it work, that we can be an example to those that are under us. Because as males, we are chosen to be leaders. Being a leader has to, first of all, be understood. You have to learn how to be a good follower. And how you learn to be a follower? Well, you learn to follow by, first of all, follow the instructions of your parents. Follow the instructions of those at church. Follow the instructions of a job. Follow the instructions of the law. Those things are what we learn to be a good follower in school, from your teachers. Learning to be a good follower will predicate you learning to be becoming a good leader. Now, how you lead, everybody doesn't lead the same way, and you might not lead the same stuff, because you're not, we are not, everyone has a way of leading certain things, and certain things we're not supposed to lead at all, because that's not our calling to lead. But there's going to come a time that you might lead a family. And that family needs you. And you need to be able to step up to be the leader of that home. We have this right now, you're just a boy. Okay. You say you're a boy. And a boy is pretty much, well, I put it like this, like in the Bible says, in 1 Corinthians, you're talking about when I was a child, I thought I was a child. I spoke like a child. I just did with childish things. But when I became a man, I had to put away childish things. In the society that we're in right now, how can I say it? It seems that we have to grow up a little faster now. We have to grow up a little harder, or not harder, but a little more insightful because of the things that we're dealing with, because of how society is going. And because in your lifetime, you don't know anything about this stuff before when I was coming up as a young boy and everything. So you don't know about, like for instance, you ever went to a restaurant and got some orange juice, and when you ask for the orange juice, they bring you a little glass like this in, and when they bring you back, want to slap them. Like, really? I paid all the money for a little thing orange juice like this here? I want a large. Matter of fact, supersize that bad boy. And they bring you something like this here. Well, there's a reason that happened. The reason that little glass was like that, because during World War II, they had to ration out orange juice. And the orange juice was because they wanted to make sure it got to the soldiers and everything. But when time kept going, they kept those little things of orange juice as in restaurants as tradition went on. You don't know anything about it. You want to get that big chugga little kind of orange juice thing. But there are reasoning behind everything. But in your time, you don't think you know money about Black Lives Matter. You know about hurricane tornadoes that came through, the viruses that we're having. You're missing graduations. You know about a lot of the wars that's been going on, like they've been going across seas and everything. All those Kuwait and all those kind of wars, you're knowing about those things. That's what you know. But I want to teach you this. Yes, sir. Boy, I thought you said something. But the main thing I want you to understand, is this. As a male, you are very important. And we, if there are older males on here, there's going to be a time you watch people right now that you're looking at now. And when you're watching them, you emulating things that they're doing, don't even know you're doing. If you're seeing your father, or you seeing somebody deacon in the church, or somebody that even NBA players or sports people, you try to mimic them and play like they play, because you admire their skill and you admire the person that you're looking at. There's going to come a time that they're going to mimic you, and you have to be careful what you do, what you say, where you go, and how you do it. You'd be surprised you're watching that little brother, that little kid, that little cousin that's looking at you. Now, there's a time before Jesus got here, right? Jesus was he was born, had to be born, because he didn't know, God didn't know, he knew how to make man and everything, but he didn't know how to be man. So he came and exactly from the infancy of man to go through all of childhood into adulthood to know exactly how we feel, so he can tell us and be with us when we have certain emotions and things. As a baby, he didn't know who he was. His mama had to tell him who he was. Baby, do you know who you are? You're the redeemer of the world. You're the savior and all these things. He had to be taught who he was. And as he got older, you have to understand, he was made fun of because they knew that Joseph wasn't his daddy. But the thing is, he knows how it feels to be made fun of. And they didn't like that kind of stuff. But what God wants you to do, he was still considered a boy till he was 30. A lot of people, all those back in those times, you were still considered a boy till you got 30 years old. And that's why a lot of things, his ministry didn't start till he was 30. That's why a lot of things that happened with a lot of the characters in the Bible didn't really get going till they were 30, because they were still considered a boy. That's what the problem was with that. Now, where you are now, you're in a society that's dealing with this. I know you about the pandemic and everything. We done heard a whole lot about it. I've been preaching a lot about this pandemic thing back in for 2020. And the main thing people were saying at the time was that 2020 is about perfect vision, 2020 vision, which is true. Because 2020 vision, I mean, I can see clearly, I can see perfectly, but there's a whole lot between 2020 as well. 20 is the number that's short of 21, because 20 is a double 10, a double divine order. But you have 21. 21 is the completion of the triple perfection, because 7 is perfection or completion. Y'all with me? So you're in a generation of 20, which is an expectancy, number of expectancy or finalization. When you are expecting something to happen in 21, then that's going to become clear that your vision has to be tight. Because in 2020, 20 plus 20 is 40. And 40 is the number of trial or testing. Just like when Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights when he fasted, and when Noah then was on the boat for 40 days and 40 nights. Like the children of Israel were in the wilderness for 40 days, 40 years. Other things that have the thing significance of 40. 40 is the time of testing. And if we're in the time of testing, how have we been tested at this point? We've been tested because we have the pandemic, you have the equal rights situation going on, you have the police thing that was happening. All these things are happening this year because no one could have told anybody back in January that we'd be in the situation we're in right now. You have to learn to deal with isolation. You have to learn to deal with loneliness. You have to learn to deal with not being able to be hugged or touched, because we are people of feeling. We are people of love. And because when we can't be, when our loving or our touching is limited, it causes things in our minds. It causes us to feel a little down, depressed, and isolated and separated. But that's your focus has to stay on the fact that God is going to bring us through. And even though you might be in this thing as a boy before, you might have birthdays and whatever, when we get out of this, you'll be a lot older, and some of y'all gonna become legal men. So supposed legal men as far as age is concerned. So I need you to focus on the fact of who you are, what your purpose is, and stay on that, regardless of the things that's going on around you. I know you've been taught something, like I said, sometimes some of you may say, I'm a mistake. I have been playing. My mama said we weren't looking for you. My dad said, oh man, you weren't even in the situation. But God had you in the situation, buddy. And that's all it is to it. It's like this. If this ball right here, you are out of 7 billion people. Let's pretend this is the earth in God's hand. Out of 7 billion people, there's a little old bitty speck in here that's you. Sitting right there, right there. As a matter of fact, I see you. There you are right there. You're going to get pressed against the wall from a lot of things. You're going to be put into a lot of pressures. Might be sexual pressures, because we didn't have all this stuff that's going on like we did when we were coming up. You often just push a button. You have a phone that has a Bible app and has porn on it at the same time. That's pressure. Because when you're going through your changes, and your body is saying one thing, your mind is trying to do something else, and your spirit is trying to convey with God, and all these things just keep coming at you, and all these things keep coming at you, and girls are dressing the way they dress, and they come at you the way they do, and you trying to do right, especially when you're trying to be the man that you've been taught to be, or be the Christian that we preach you to be. It gets hard sometimes. It gets tough. Ain't no sense in us acting like it's so easy. All of us from the pulpit to the outpit, we all go through the same stuff, but we just have to learn, teach you. Say, look, I know what you're going through. Now let me teach you how to deal with it. And if you'll listen to us, because when we were younger, I know Mike can talk about this, when we were younger, we didn't think about it, we wouldn't listen, because we would say now, if I knew back then what I know now, I wouldn't go through it. But that's not the truth, because back then we weren't ready to listen to it. Just like some of y'all right now are not ready to listen to what we're saying now. But this ball that's in God's hand, when you get under pressure and you find yourself getting cornered and you don't know what to do, pressure creates some stuff. Like enough pressure in a coal can create diamonds some kind of way, or in an oyster creates a pearl. But when you get under pressure and you get hit, you light up. You light up in this world. Don't let anybody make you think that you're not seen. Don't let anybody make you think that you're not significant. You are a light in this world. And when you allow God to use you as that light, you will be surprised at the difference of the things you're going to make change in this world. You don't realize it now, but you're being developed and groomed through other people. You're being groomed and developed by other people, like this camp, but small. It's giving you tools to work with. It's giving you info to use. It's giving you insight to make it. Y'all understand me?
I done watched it. I use some. I don't clean it up. I
Oh,
use.
somebody got the mic on.
Sorry about that. I muted them.
See, we didn't learn from right there. That's intel. And whatever you cooking, bake me a slice too. Mike, I hope you made some cinnamon rolls. But anyway, in this time, I have my son. I think I told this story before. My son, he's 23 now. And he is getting his master's at Mississippi State in software engineering. It seemed just like yesterday that I had that boy and I brought him home. And we do a thing back then when he was a little boy. He was about, I'd say about four or five maybe. He was going to daycare, about 4 years old. And we did this thing called Buddies for Life. We would bump each other's fists like this and point thumbs, say, Buddies for Life. And so one day we was almost on the way to daycare, and we had a routine of going to daycare, go to Burger King first, get a sausage croissant. Then we would go over to the school, to the daycare. This particular day, he sat in his little seat, in the car seat, and I was in the front, and he said, "Dad." I said, "Yeah, son." He said, "We buddies, right?" I said, "Yeah, son, we buddies." He said, "For life?" Now, at that time, he couldn't talk that good because he's still a little young. So he said, "For wife?" I said, "Yes, son, for wife." He said, "Dad." I said, "What is it, son?" He said, "I want to be just like you when I grow up." Oh, man. I couldn't let my boy see how my chest was about to cave in, how my bottom lip was starting to tremble, and how my eyes were about to water up. I had to just suck it up and look back at him and say, "Okay, son, okay." No. Yeah, son, okay. You know, but he could have picked anybody. He could have picked Big Bird. He could have picked Barney. He could have picked, at that time, you know, that's who the big names were. But he chose me. Wow. Chose me. So God gave me a revelation in that as I go in my prayer time. And I get ready to pray and I say, "God," he looks down at me and says, "Yes, son. We buddies, right?" He looks down at me and says, "Yes, son, we buddies. For wife?" "Yes, son, for wife." "God, what is it, son?" "I want to be just like you when I grew up." Can you imagine that God, with the love that God put in me for my son, is more beyond my comprehension how he feels for me and for you? I can't even comprehend it, but I can imagine God sitting in his throne, the most powerful being that there is, the creator of all things, how he sits in his throne and his chest is about to cave in and his eyes starting to water up and his face is frowning up, and Gabriel comes and asks him, "God, what's the matter?" I can say God is saying, "Hush. One of my babies just told me he wants to be like me." Being like God is not going to always be easy because of the things that come around us, because of the challenges we have to go through, because of things you have to face as a man, as a boy. It's not going to always be easy. But even as a boy, or as a young man, you can overcome all of those things that's going on in your life. But you have to do it with Jesus on your side. You have to listen to who God is using to tell you what's right and what's wrong, or to teach you how to do what's right and to avoid what's wrong. You have to listen to those teachers that's trying to teach you and educate you on how you can make it in the world, with how to talk to somebody, so you can understand what the contract says when you get that big business, and you want to find out that you're not getting gypped in the contract, so you know how to read it yourself instead of depending on other people, or to write your own notes and letters or emails to try to get some agendas, to get some things accomplished in your life. To learn how to add, to learn how to subtract and multiply, to make sure that the check that you're supposed to be receiving from that business that you just started is correct. You have to learn how to follow those that are trying to lead you, because then one day you are going to become a leader. It's like this. A man is an adult human. You got your X chromosomes from your mother. You get your Y chromosomes from your father. But it's the father that determines the sex of a child, not the woman, but the father. So if you become a father and you wanted a son or something, and you get a bunch of daughters, it's not your wife's fault. It was you. And then the father is the one that has a relationship with his child or his children, because any man can become a daddy. That's a given. That's just an act. But to become a father, there has to be a relationship. Some of us that are men, that are boys now, or men, don't have that father in the house, or that father that's around. But you can find a father figure. A father figure can show you the things of how to be that man, how to become that instrument that God wants to use in the society. Find you somebody that you can look up to. Find somebody that you can respect, because soon the roles are going to be reversed or changing, and you're going to be the one that's going to be an insight or a father figure to some child that doesn't have a father. It's the same way we're not having God as your father. See, the thing is, though, in the spirit world, we use the enemy or Satan himself as a father figure instead of God himself to be our father. All God wants to do is love you where you are. All God wants to do is allow someone to bring somebody to you that can help you to get to the next point of your life. Because some of the people we hang with they are toxic and causes us more harm than good. There are some people places that we go, we don't need to go to, because it messes up our minds, corrupt the way we think. And your mind or your soul is what the enemy is after. I think I remember y'all remember this before. I know I just used to be a lot more lighthearted or whatever, but I'm feeling this way to go this route now because of the times that we in. Times have changed, fellas. If you're going to, for instance, I don't understand. I mean, look, this is your brain. Remember this? I don't know if y'all remember this or not. This is the brain. This is the way it looks. It's ready, and it's anatomic. This is the way it looks. This is the way it's supposed to be. It's anatomic. That's how it looks. See, and it's the white weight and everything. In the front of your brain, if y'all remember me telling you, in front of your brain, something called the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe is where your decision-making skills are developed. How you think, how your emotions, all those things are developed there. Now watch this. Your spirit and your flesh are two different things, because we're made of three parts: the body, the spirit, and the soul. Our spirit is tied to God. Our bodies are tied to flesh, or to the world, to the earth, because that's where the body comes from the dirt. But our soul is what we have that's in between the body and the spirit. And the soul is your emotions or your conscious being or your judgment. It is your soul that the enemy wants to attack. It is your mind that what the enemy wants to destroy. If he can change the way you think, then he can change the way you act, which can change or to disconnect your spirits, man, from God. If he can get to your mind, he can separate you in the spirit to God, and it manifests through your flesh. For instance, there's a cuss word coming in your mind. You want to just cut, tell him, you want to cuss out. You've been taught, don't cut, about the cussing and everything. It don't get you anywhere. But what you do is that cuss word get in your head, some words that's not in the Sunday school book. That's what I'm talking about. So you got these words that you want to tell this person off. Do I listen to my spirit that says walk away, or do I listen to my flesh that says, man, tell them some stuff and tell them more, that go find some more words and tell them. Make up some words if you have to. Cuss them out. But the one that is the strongest is the one that's going to prevail. If your spirit man is stronger, then your spirit man is going to prevail, and you're going to walk away. If your body or your flesh means your own nature, if it's stronger, then you're going to cuss them out. So your soul is going to follow, or your decision is going to be based on which one is strongest. Now, how do we make our flesh stronger? You make your flesh stronger when you go into church, when you read your Bible, when you go to Bible study, when you're fasting, when you're praying. That's how you strengthen your spirit, man. How do you strengthen your flesh? It's like when you go into the gym, you lift weights to get your body stronger. But strengthening your flesh is when you go in places you have no business going, hanging with friends you have no business hanging with, and just doing some stuff you have no business doing, then you're strengthening your flesh or your sin nature. That's what you're strengthening. Your spirit man is of God's nature, but your flesh is of the sin nature. And when you do those things, then you go into whichever one is your strongest is the one that's going to prevail. So see, when you got saved, your flesh didn't get saved. Your spirit man got saved, or your spirit man gets saved. When you were born, God's spirit was already in you, but he was laying dormant in you, waiting for you to activate him. Just like when Adam, when God came to make Adam, he stumped his foot, dust came up. When the dust came up, he bent down and he blew spiritual CPR into Adam. And now when his spirit connected with that body, then it lit up as his soul, or a man became a conscious being. It's like a light bulb. The light bulb is the body. The electricity is the spirit of God. So when the electricity hits that light bulb, then the light comes forth. It's the same way with us. Now, when you conceived in the belly, you left the loins of your mama, your daddy, and went to the belly of your mama, and you were conceived in her womb, then God blew a part of him in you, because that's what became a living soul. But as you were sitting there, but he was dormant in you because he was waiting to activate him in your life. So when you got up and you decided, how do you activate him? You got older and you start learning more about God. So how do you activate him? When it's just like a credit card. A credit card is that you can have $1 million value on it, or you can have $200 value on it. But that card is not of any good until you dial the digits on the back of that card to activate it. We activated ourselves, God, in us the same way. And how we do it? When we go to the altar and say, God, I give myself to you as my Savior. I accept you in my life as my personal Savior. I want to be saved, and that's how we do that. So you're spiritually down in the spiritual code to activate God in you. So God wakes up in you. So now the things that you used to do, it bothers you to do it now. Why? Because God is waking up in you. So now God can connect with himself that's in you. Because that's why Galatians 5:17 tells us, if you walk in the spirit, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Now, lust is not all about sex. Lust is strong desires. And what are strong desires? So like I do, sometimes you might go to the refrigerator and get that other piece of pie that you don't need no more. I'll get one more of Mike's cinnamon rolls, things of that sort. But we have to understand, those are strong desires. And some of the strong desires might be a sexual connotation. Strong desires might be the one to fight. Strong desires might want to be to cuss people out. Strong desires might be one to lie. But if you walk in the spirit, or you develop your spirit, man, then you won't have you can overcome those desires of what your flesh want to do. See, it's your spirit, man, that got saved, not your flesh. You ever been in a prayer time? I'm trying to do some things that's of God. You deep, but all of a sudden I'm praying, but all of a sudden this crazy thought come in your head. It's not that you're not saving anything, because your flesh still want to do the things that it used to do, but you overcame it because you walked in the spirit. Because you always remember, Lord, I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to be just like you. So what I'm trying to say is this: in this time of pandemic and everything, not just pandemic, but in this time of what we're going through in 2020, we're supposed to be perfect vision, but we're dealing through trial and testing. It's not by accident that that thing is called COVID-19 came in, because I started studying the numbers by 19. See, 19 is a combo of 10 and 9. And you see 10 is the number of divine order, and 9 is a number of judgment. So you have a combination of divine judgment. I had a call come through. You have the combination of divine judgment. That's 19, which brings us into 20. So now, since the divine judgment coming, I'm expecting deliverance. I'm expecting a breakthrough. I'm expecting a blessing. I'm expecting something for God to move on my behalf. Because during this time, a lot of folk got blessed financially, starting their own businesses, things of that sort. But you have to keep your focus. Okay? Now, this is probably a rap session. I know I got a little longer, I got a little serious and everything about stuff I'm talking about, but I felt if I just wanted to go that route. Now, is there anybody there that got in some questions or had some things they want to talk about, discuss, or ask about, or some things they said, man, what's going on with this? Why is this? How do I overcome this, or whatever? I don't know if your questions come through here. I don't know, because I don't see anything right now, but I'm open to that right now. Let me make sure.
Guys, all you should have to do is unmute yourselves if you want to participate and ask some questions to Brother Marq Powell. Please do so. And if you're watching on Facebook, if you type your questions in, we'll be able to make sure you get those.
They might be asleep. I'm out of boredom today. They're probably watching. What's the day? Wednesday. What come on tonight? Don't tell them what they watch. Yeah. But I saw the thing with the doctor. That was awesome, Mike, that you did bringing him on. His story was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was.
That was some good stuff. But the main thing is he was a good example of especially what young black males can be. You are not, no matter your circumstances or what you feel you're limited to, you can overcome those things, especially with God guiding you and leading you through your situation. Don't let that stop you from overcoming. God is a God of happenstance. He makes things happen, makes it happen. And I appreciate him for that.
I want to ask something that maybe I would have asked, or something that some of the some men maybe would ask, maybe a little embarrassed to or something. What can you say to them, to a young man? Because there's so much peer pressure out there, and a lot of times a young man might desire to do good. He might desire to do what's good, but to be accepted by his friends. And in the world now, it's like you have to do wrong almost to be accepted. You know, if you're good, you're called goody two shoes. Now, I heard that a lot growing up. Now, and that's not a compliment to a child. And it's not meant as a compliment when somebody say goody two shoes and you try to do what's right. But just something that some young men, just like I tell these kids, we invest, your parents invest 18 years in you. Then you go to college and you let somebody kick to the curb something that's been invested in you 18 years, and it might take them 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 minutes for them to talk you into doing something that you've been taught your whole life against. So is there something you can say to them that about the peer pressure, or about being your own man, and that you don't have to be accepted by everybody else, you know, because something we feel like we need to be accepted. And so sometimes we give in to these things that we really don't even really want to do.
Man, who don't? Listen, Mike, and I know you know it too. We've come through that stuff with that peer pressure stuff. Yeah. But here's the good thing. Peer pressure is not a bad thing. It depends on the peer you're getting pressured by. Because we know you're in a group of people that want to steal. And you was like, man, I'm not down with that, man. Y'all need to go here on, brother. We ain't doing that stuff, man. Squash that foolishness. So, but the thing is, that peer, now you can be a peer pressure, that's going two ways. You can create the pressure of them not doing it, and they can create the pressure of you doing it. But which one is going to win? If you have to stand up for who you are and what you've been taught in order to make, I'll put it like this. You'll be surprised how many other people are thinking the same thing you're thinking in that same situation about going to steal somebody or do something crazy in the classroom, but they just didn't want to say it. And it took one person in the group to say something. And why can't it be you? Why can't you change the arena of what's going on in that situation? Peer pressure is one of the most influential things that there is. Yeah. Even trying to live right. Peer pressure from other Christians, peer pressure from other from the world. How do I do this? How do I overcome it? That's why I told you. But my dad told me something that sticks with me. He said, he told me that I was little as a boy. He said, son, or when I got grown, he said, son, I know you do what you want to do. You're older now, you're grown or whatever. But if you do this one thing, if you ain't never heard nothing else I said, just remember this one thing, son. I said, what's that, Dad? He said, son, before you do or say anything, just stop and think. Huh? Son, before you say or do anything in situations, just stop and think. It don't take but a minute of a second to stop and think before you do it. What I mean by that, if you're tending to be able to go do something that you know that's against your moral ethics or who you are, it takes a second to say, wait a minute, the consequences of me doing this is this. The benefit of me walking away is that. So you had to make the choice. Am I going to fall into this or am I going to walk away? Again, this refers to your spirit and your flesh, your ethics and your morals. So ethics, this thing, you have to develop some ethics and morals. Morals are having strong beliefs about what you believe. Ethics are obeying the rules of the area that you're in. In other words, there are rules that's in a classroom. There's rules that's at home. Every home have different rules. Just because your friend tells you that, my mom let me stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning, and your folks tell you to go to bed at 10, the rules of your house are different from here. And then a lot of them telling tales anyway. They probably sneaking upstairs, man. My mom didn't let me do anything. Well, that's not a good thing. If the parents let you do anything, then that means there's some no caring going on right there. So your mindset is the things that my folks taught me. Like I told my son, I said, son, the most important thing that you have is your name. Your name is going to go places that you probably never get to, but they'll hear about you before you get there. Matter of fact, the most important, it's my name. Don't go mess it up. And he'll tell you that now. He said, one thing my dad always told me, don't mess, my name is the most important thing I got. Don't mess up in his name. Don't mess his name up, because I'll beat you with love. So he knows that. And he always remember, before I do or say anything, just stop and think. That's all you need to do, son. But being pressured into doing other things that you know is against you is hard. I'm not telling you that's going to be easy, because it's going to be accepted by folks that don't care about you. If you lower your standards to be accepted by folks that don't have standards, then you just left hanging. Ain't no sense in staying with that. Some people you have to let go. When I was coming up, there was some folks I had just literally let them go. Shoot, as an adult, there's some folks I had to literally let go because they were causing me more harm than good. And you can develop soul ties with these people when you find yourself getting connected with them and you can't seem to shake them. And every time you turn around, you try to get away from them. They call you, bring you back. Hey, man, you want to go out and make this little run, man? We got some things you got to do. No, dude, I ain't down with that. I told y'all, now go ahead on. Oh, man, you just whipping out. Man, don't listen to that. But your parents, good parents, they're the ones that give you all the things that you need. They make sure you meet the necessities of your life. They make sure everything you have to have is, I thought my phone was doing that. They're making sure everything you need is prepared. why would you do more harm or disrespect the person that's doing more for you than anybody else?
Right.
Why would you disrespect them? I've never understood that. The ones that love you the most, get sacrifice for you the most, make sure you have what you need the most, are the ones that you treat the worst. Why? And you're trying to get the admiration and the kinship or likeness of folks that are not studying you at all.
Right, right.
Your dedication should be to those that care about you. And your parents, you'd be surprised when you were acting up at school and your parent had to leave work to come up there and see you because you showing out. And that parent, that job person or that boss might say, look, you done left this house, this work several times by that child. If you leave one more time, don't come back. But guess what a good parent does? A loving parent. You can have this job. I got to go see about my baby. And they already know this child just want to act up. And for what? The ones that you everything you got is theirs. When you were born, you got their genes. When you went in the refrigerator, it was them went to the job to pay for the lights. The light in to make the refrigerator stay on to put the food in and to stay cold for you to go get it. When you go in your room and lay in that bed, or go in that room, that's a part of the house that they're paying the mortgage on that went to the job from that you keep getting called from to come see about you at school. When you lay down, that bed, that light, the cover that you had, even the clothes that you're wearing, they bought it. But we treat them the worst. And I've never understood that. Disrespecting, because even God talked about it so much, honor your mother and your father. And then put, like my brother Small said, they put so much into you. My son in college, and I'll do whatever it takes to get him through it because I want his life to get a good start. And know that when God takes me out of here, if he don't come back first, that I've done everything I can to pass on to my son, the one he made me a steward over, that he has everything he needs to make it in life. And if I don't pour everything in me, out of me into him, then I failed. Then I've cheated him. I got to make sure that everything he needs is given to him. Now, what he does with it on that, I can only teach him to do it. But y'all, don't fall prey to what folks tell you, man. Like you, for instance, I don't understand what's the significance of pants hanging. I don't get it. You know, I don't understand that. Especially you get grown men, you got 40-year-olds still sagging, you got a problem. When you don't understand the history of where sagging come from. What does that prove? And girls tell you they don't like sagging.
Right, they don't like it.
They'll tell you they don't like it. And we dress the way we dress to be appealing to the opposite sex. I ain't saying I'm trying to get with them, but to be appealing to the opposite sex. For instance, let this shirt I got on. If several all of you guys go, man, Mr. Powell, that shirt suck. What you got on, man? What kind of color is that? But if there's a couple females gonna say, Mr. Powell, that shirt, that's a nice color, that's all right. Who do you think I'm gonna listen to? I ain't studying y'all. Because we dress the way we dress to be appealing to the opposite sex. Now I ain't saying we're trying to get with them again, but it's just the way we design. But when you go around, and if girls done told you that sagging is not cute, then you instead of impressing the girls, you're trying to impress each other.
That's right. Absolutely.
But all I got to say is, when you sag, you know it came from jail. It started because they didn't let them have belts because they stopped issuing them belts because they had the tendency of hanging themselves and stuff. So they stopped giving them belts. But then it changed to mean that I belong to somebody in the prison. Then it changed again to say I'm available to anybody that have me. So what you was telling folks, you might say, I'm not like that. That's just the way I dress. Okay, you see a dude run across the field with an orange jumpsuit on. First thing you're gonna think is he running from prison. But now when we catch up with him, he said, no, man, this is what I wear when I work in my garden. And I was trying to, my dog went running across and I was trying to catch him with his stupid selves. Now, even though he was not a prisoner, what he had on represented prison. Right. You might say, showing all your stuff, you might not be like that or the same persuasion, but what you're wearing represents that persuasion. Yeah. I hope that makes sense to you. Yeah. So you got to understand the things, you got to know the things that you're doing. You need to learn the history of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Before you do or say anything, stop and think. My son, good. My son, we put him through college, taking him through college, and we said, son, we proclaim in the name of Jesus, we are not going to get no student loan. you're gonna get through these schools without a student loan. We declaring the decree in that. We standing on that promise from God. He went to went to community college, got him through there, got scholarship and everything. Boom, boom, boom. Got taken care of. Went to Jackson State. Some things happened. We didn't know how to get, because some kind of way he had lost scholarship or something like that. But we said, but we still not going to get no student loans. But he got some other scholarship to replace it. But he found out there was a job that was there on the campus that helped him get through, that was taking care of a lot of his gas and another thing that he had, because he got favor with a lot of people that was at school. And it got him, he got his bachelor's through Jackson State. And then we said, now, going to Mississippi State, now how are we going to do this? Now, Lord, we still trusting. We still trusting. But we got to the point now where he's getting his master's and still has not gotten not one student loan. Just because your other friends say that's what you need, and people kept saying, well, man, you need to get one. This is peer pressure. Go on, get one. You're going to end up getting it anyway. Even family folk were telling him this stuff. He stood his ground and said, no, I refuse to have a student loan. Why did he say that? Because me and his mother kept putting into him, you are not going to be in debt when you get out of school. There's no sense if you having a $100,000 loan and you get a $30,000 job. That's just saying it for example. You already in debt. Just a house. No, we standing on it. And then because we was adamant and we poured into him, he took on that same attitude. And God has been giving him all kind of favor ever since, from different jobs that pay for tuition, different programs that came through from some out of nowhere. If you listen to God-given parents, you're going to make it. So peer pressure, we put peer pressure on my son. Son, stand strong. Stand strong, boy. And he did it. And when folks try to pressure him into doing stuff that's totally against his ethics or his morals, because we put strong morals into him. And because he has strong morals, he stood his ground. And to this day, he's still able to say, I am debt free as far as schooling or anything else. And when I get up out of here, I'm not going to be trying to paying for stuff. Now, always remember this, y'all. To everything you do today is going to become your past tomorrow. And you don't want your past to follow you with bad stuff. So remember, what you do today is going to be your past tomorrow. But yeah, Mike, they have to stand their ground, establish some morals, or strong
That's a
beliefs.
part of being a man. That's a part of being a man, being able to stand on your own and make your own decisions and not let somebody persuade you otherwise. That's the development of becoming a strong man.
And that develops wisdom. See, that develops wisdom too. See, wisdom is knowledge is having information and knowing what to do. Knowledge is knowing what to do, but wisdom is knowing how to use the knowledge that you have. And as you get older, you're gonna make mistakes, but you learn from the mistakes that you made, and you get your knowledge and use that with wisdom. And that's how you make it in life. As we get older, we get more wise because we've learned how to use the knowledge we've acquired.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So like I'm in college, right? And I got, with all this COVID stuff, it's likely that I won't be staying on campus. So me and my parents are talking about getting like an apartment. Do you have any advice on like how, like, because we think we might have to get a roommate, so like choosing roommates and any advice on stuff like that?
Where are you thinking about going?
I go to Philander right now.
Okay, this is how we did with our son. He when he went to Mississippi State, going to Mississippi State, we got him an apartment. He found what you now. This is your first year of college.
Second
year. So you at a university or a community college?
It's a private school.
Smith. Yeah, that's one of the HBCUs there in Little Rock. You probably went on that tour.
Okay, then what you need to do is you need to learn what happened with us was he found we're taking care of helping with his rent, but he has a part-time job that he's paying for part of that rent too. And then also that school, that job that he has, that program is paying for 50% or 60%, so many percent of his tuition, because the program is in, and they stay up and they're paying him a stipend. So the money he's getting with stipend, he's using it for a job, for his apartment. What you have to do, because now you become a young man. You matter of fact, now you are a young man. We'll still look at you as a child because you're in college. I don't know why we do that, but we know you're a young man. But because we're student parents, still get involved like still children. You have to find, it takes hard work, man. And there's only if it is but around it. That's when your trust in God comes around. You say, okay, God, I need to find a part-time job or something that I can handle, that can help me take care of it. And you need to find creative ways of doing it. Now, they might also look up for some grants or some grants that pays for apartments or give you stuff for just being if I can say that, being a male or being black or being certain incomes or being in certain areas. You got to do research as a man. It's about you determining what's my destination. What's my destination? You look up your stuff for yourself. Don't always depend on your parents to do all the work for you and all the leg work. You got to get out there for yourself. Say, look, I need to find out something to make this thing work. Because what's happening now is we have a generation of children that's become privileged, or they feel like, what instead of me, what can I do for me? What can you do for me? No, you got to go out there and hit it. When I left home in college, I was already having a job and farming everything by 19, and taking care of a wife, not taking care of one, but I got married and at 20. But the fact was, my mindset was prepared because I worked and had a mindset of taking care of nurturing when I was growing up. So your thing is, as you're a man now, you cannot lean on everything from your parents. Right. You got to go out and start looking. Get on the internet. You Google everything else. Google up for about grants for rent, grants for college students, grants for having certain grades, grants, even ask your school where that you're at. What they might be able to turn you on to some opportunities to help you with some apartments, things of that sort, as far as paying for it. Because you'll be surprised, there's money out there. You just have to do the work to look for it. It's not gonna always just come to you, buddy. And if you can find a part-time job, get the part-time.
I have one at Buffalo Wild Wings, but right now I'm cutting back on it to focus on my schooling. Now that schooling starts back, so I'll be taking less hours.
Well, now are you going? But see, the thing is now, don't see. I get Mike. It's a different generation, Mike. But the thing is that man, we have as a man. One day you're gonna become a husband and a father. Things around my house might break down. Things in the cars might break down. Things I don't know nothing about sometimes. But I have to be there to take care of them and try to hold things together. And it might all come at one time. I worked and went to school. That's part of life. You have to learn to get the balance of that. You don't want to cut yourself so far on your working to focus on school. And make sure you choose the classes that you can handle while you're working. Now, when you have a chance where your classes are a little, you can kind of work on them a little pretty good, get your hours at work while you can. You know what I'm saying? Get your hours while you can, because you never know where they might, like this COVID, they might shut down again, and next thing you know, you ain't got nothing. Every time you got an opportunity to get what you can, do it then. Don't sit there and wait. Well, I'm just gonna keep these out because I'm trying to focus on school. No, you can focus on school and do that job. Believe me, you have to learn how to balance it. Mike is a good example.
Yeah,
Lord,
I tell you,
he's a father. He's a husband. He's a minister. He's and he got entrepreneur, going to school and working. Now, and though his responsibilities are a lot greater than you have. So learn to craft or to mold your mind and learn how to earn your keep, because your parents, your parents gonna back you up. My son, whatever he does, I said, son, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, you got us. We here. We got you. But there are the times you just can't always depend on him. But the main thing is put your trust in God. You got to seek him more now. I know you ain't aware with this spiritual stuff, I understand. But that's how I made it. That's how my son is making it. And when you put that trust in him, you got to depend on him, and he will provide people to come in your way to give you ideas, or give you money, or even put them in your path that you weren't even looking for, to provide for that. I can't separate the two. The natural and the spiritual, they go together. And wherever your spiritual life is now, don't increase it just because you want to get things out of God, but increase it because your love of God. And your love of God would increase the things that he gives you and provides for you. Just like your parents. Your parents provide for you because they love you, even when you don't ask them. But you had a relationship. So look, if Buffalo Wild Wings hours and stuff don't work, find something else. Find online jobs. Because that's some jobs. Because of what do you major?
I'm doing business administration.
See, oh, that's another thing. Internships.
That's what I'm looking for.
If you can find some internships, check with your counselors. Like I said, online. Those things will help you. That's how you're gonna make it, Doc.
This is Andre, Xavier's dad. So one of the challenges we're looking at is with the schools shutting down because of the whole COVID situation. We're trying to figure out how it's a good possibility they will not let him back on campus again because they have limited housing. So we kind of have a couple of options. Either he can stay with us, or he can try to find an apartment and, maybe try to find a roommate or two to stay with. Right now, he doesn't make enough with his part-time job, and he has a full-pay scholarship, and we're hoping they're going to give him some of that money. We're hoping. Actually, we got to work on the letter to the president to find out about that.
Well, the fact that you got one, congratulations on that, man. That's
Yeah.
Don't take it right. Ooh, as a parent, ooh, thank you.
Yes.
I know the feeling, Doc. So yours is mainly the apartment.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know as the dad, I want him to be able to. When I was 18, I was out kind of on my own and had to figure some things out, and there was some good and bad in that. But as much as anything, I want him. I think we've taught. I know we've taught him well, and I know we've showed him some love. But I think it's time for him to be able to get out and to kind of learn and to grow on his own, if you will. Okay. So it's that balancing act of when he was at school, at campus, he was away from us. He wasn't that far away, but he was far away from us enough to where he had to learn how to deal with things on his own, right? He knew that if he had an emergency, he had a fallback. Now with this whole situation, if they don't give him any of that money, then it's just financially, he can't. It'll be difficult, nearly impossible for him to be able to get an apartment, even with a friend or two, because he won't be able to make enough and still maintain, because that scholarship is the most important thing. Keeping that is part of the work.
Exactly.
So it's we're just trying to figure out as father, son, and wife, is there any advice on navigating it? So for example, if he has to stay here, then kind of how do we manage that? Because as a kid, as growing up, I never had to deal with that because I was on my own at 18.
Yeah, me and you, that's our generation. That's how we do it. Now, and I've learned this, Father. We can't raise a Joshua generation with a Moses mentality. It ain't gonna work. I mean, we try to raise our kid like we got raised, but we're in a different time. The concept is the same. The principle is the same. Don't get me wrong. All that's still the same. Just like I taught my son. But I realized the society is different. Now, the same thing was happening that you're doing. But the main thing is, like I think I saw somebody put on the screen. Your main focus is keeping that scholarship. Just like I had to do with my son. That's your son, the student, the young man. That's your main focus. Keep the scholarship. Yeah. If at this time might be a blessing for you, because it was a couple times my son had to come stay with us and live with us because he was doing what he's supposed to. His job right now is to get educated. That's your job. So I'm not going to, as long as he was doing his work, doing what he's supposed to do, come on, do his homework over there. Then, hey, son, your room was there. But now he's gone. Now I'm sending him to his apartment. Gone, get up, get out. But during that time, I had to show him that he had a support base. Yeah. And that support base helped him through this crisis. Now, because if they're gonna do the online courses and let you do all of them, is the job far away from you where you live now, or is it up there with the school?
It's not far from where I live now.
Okay, now this is me. Now you have to do what you have to do. What you think is best. This is my advice. Let him do, if he can do the courses online that he can do and keep that scholarship. Go to work, son. Put your money up. Put the money up while you can do it, because we don't know where the pandemic is going to take everything. When the opportunities allow for you to get the hours, get the hours. Get the money. Put the money up. But don't put all kind of burdens on the parents, because you want to make sure that if you, the way the father sounds, he sounds so much like me, that they'll be there for you, but you got to be doing what you have to do, what you're supposed to do when they let you stay there. Now that's showing, that is showing maturity, and that is showing manhood, because you're in there and still willing to invest into your future by letting you stay there. That's an investment. That's not a freebie. The thing is, you working, but you're working from you living with them, but you still working. I'm talking about the school. Now get the job. Put whatever you can up with that job, so that when you can go back and be on campus, you got something laid away. Don't go spend it at Chick-fil-A and stuff like that and getting super signed. Right. Because my son's favorite spot is Chick-fil-A. I said, son, you go to Chick-fil-A every day? He said, well, Dad, ain't no way or nothing, son. You know how much Chick-fil-A costs, and then you get a super sign with a shake, and those shakes are not cheap. Sure ain't. Seriously, dude. So I had to get on and start teaching him how to, but you better go in there and go make some groceries. So he go to Walmart and get some groceries and cook. So, and let me give a little advice here too, if it's okay. Now, sometimes we as parents, and sometimes we're helping, or we're trying to help, and sometimes we're crippling, but we don't know. We want to help. We want to give for them. So here's my advice to Xavier. Even if your parents don't ask you for any money or any rent or anything like that, and they tell you to put your money up, just every now and then, that money that you might would spend on Chick-fil-A or something like that, you're a man now. And so take some money to the parents and say, look, here's something to help. I want to do something to help. It may not be much, got a part-time or whatever, but I want to show my appreciation to you. And I want to show you that I am trying to be, that I am being responsible. They may give it back to you. They may say, well, son, go on, put it in the bank. And there may be a day Victoria may say, okay, give it to me. Because that was the next thing I'm going to say. Because Mike, that's correct. Exactly. Because my wife will give my son money sometime. But when he do some stuff, she said, I want my money back. And I don't care what you got. And she gets it. she said, no, that was real loan. No, I want my money back. That was real loan. Dang, that was a real loan. And the reason I say that, because sometimes when you say, when they let the child say, well, don't do anything, then they take that money and they spend it. They spend it on, they got a little budget. They put some of it up, but they keeping a lot of it, and they spending it on spending it frivolously. So if you're giving some to your parents, or you're helping out, or you're doing something, every once in a while, maybe go buy the groceries or fill a tank up. If it's, just a little, that makes you responsible, but it also keeps you from just spending your money frivolously just because you got it and because daddy said I didn't have to pay anything. Because my son pays so much a month, But I'll just say because when I left college, I had to go stay. I only stayed home for about a month. Even in that little month, when if I didn't have any money, one part of the time I was looking for a job. I tell you what, if I wasn't giving up money, I was cleaning up, I was cooking, I was in the yard, I was clipping the hedges. I was doing something to pull my weight as a man. Earn your keep. You can do that. If you don't have the money, put the weight up, go clean up the kitchen.
wash the dishes, cook dinner, mow the yard, or do something, sweep out the porch. Be sure to don't let the trash fill up. You know, just be responsible as a man.
Yeah, and that main key is what you talking about there, Mike, is the fact that they should not have to ask you or tell you to do it. That's where the maturity comes in, being the man. You're earning your keep, because if you had that apartment, you would do everything you could, scrap up whatever can you do to make to pay that rent. Man, I don't want to get kicked out. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. No, if you're gonna stay home with parents, pay rent. Pay them a small rent for the room. Y'all negotiate. What's the rent for my room, Dad? Mom, what should I do? What can I do to earn my keep here? And what it is, it's developing work ethics in you.
Yes.
And characteristics of a man. That's really what that's doing. And whatever your parents can y'all work out, if you have to sign a contract, just like you do when you rent an apartment, do that. Now you obligated. And there's in writing that you said you will wash the dishes and you cook the neck bone and you bake a couple of biscuits and you make up your bed every day. Now this is part of the rent. Now what son? Wait a minute. You voted the rent. No, you didn't. No neck bone wasn't done, son. That's an issue. And I was hungry. That's gonna be a problem. But now, Dad, I like the way you're talking, and you sound like me with my son. And but little young man, don't take their love and their stuff for granted. No. And that's one thing I taught my son. That he's doing that. Sometimes he'll come take me out. Dad, what you need, Dad? Or he'll fix something for me. He'll put some gas in my car. Something other. Just I appreciate it, Dad. You know, whatever. I don't know if that helped, but yeah. In this situation though, I would do, if you can, do the online courses. And because of the job that he has, try to get as many of the hours you can to put up and yet do something around the house to keep. And then when next semester comes around, and you might have something enough to go ahead and put that on an apartment or something. Mm-hmm. But right now, we don't know which way anything is going to go. Right. Look for the scholarships. You got to do this on your own, young man. Look for scholarships. Google stuff. Go get with your counselor, see if there's something that can help you with, even with, because you got a full ride. But the main thing is keep the scholarship.
Keep it.
Dude, don't let that scholarship go nowhere.
Oh, no.
Or I will come up there and help him beat you. But if you have to but if you can get back on that campus, man, and you think you can handle it, your first thing is to find something that'll help you pay for it, you know. But I haven't, whatever the least thing your parents have to do, that's developing your man, because you are a man now. You're a man now.
Well, does anybody else have a question before we close out?
But
go ahead.
I have a comment. I'm enjoying what Brother Powell has been talking about and instructing the young men. I can tell you from experience, and see, I once was young, but now I'm old, and I can tell you right now, it's hard. It's hard out there. When I came up, and y'all might say, well, that was back in the 70s. Well, when I got out of high school, I stayed at home with my grandparents. I worked. I brought my money home. They didn't say, okay, give me this money. I volunteered and gave them the money. Told them, said, Mom, my grandmother, I said, hey, here it is. I had a job. I had a car. I was 18, 19, going on 19 years old. I couldn't move out, but I chose to stay there. They had spent all their time getting me to the age of a man. I wasn't married. Why did I want to run off and leave them when I could be some help to them?
Right.
So I stayed there and helped them, and I gave them money. You know, I gave them money and said, hey, look, it's kind of like you said, hey, they didn't charge me rent, but I said, hey, I want y'all use this. I told my grandma, I said, use this for whatever y'all need. I said, if y'all need something, use it. I said, and come behold, when I got ready to get married, guess what? Besides the money that I had saved, No, and I had gave money to them for the house. Here they come giving me that money back. I said, well, what did y'all do? You know, they gave me, I didn't keep tab on what I was giving them. So I don't know whether they gave it all back to me or what. But when I got ready to get married, I was able to buy my house. When it came time for me to buy my house, for me and my wife, I was able to put the money up. I wasn't even old enough to sign for a house, but I had the money to pay that down payment because I stayed home with my parents. I didn't get out because I was grown and went out there. Because if you go out there and apartments and things now is higher than it was back then. You go out there now paying $500 or $600 a month for an apartment. I'm telling you, hey, you're gonna find, and then you got the car, you got the apartment, you got the lights, you got the utility. Then you try to get, sometimes you try to get a roommate, and the room, you almost got to be a daddy to the roommate, and he don't want to pay his part. Right. It's a big responsibility. But you got the opportunity. You're at home with mom and with dad. Take advantage of that opportunity. If you're working, save some money. Put some money back. Hey, submit yourself to your parents until you get to that point where you are able to get out. I've talked to many young men and young ladies too, but I'm talking to men. They wish they had stayed at home. And I've talked to young men that's still at home. Say, hey, yeah, I'm at home with my parents, and I'm glad of it. Hey, I can pay them that whatever they need and be submissive to them. Don't give them no trouble. Because the opportunity to save and prepare yourself for life is there when you're able to stay at home. Especially you got a mom and dad and a nice home to stay there. Hey, you got that opportunity. I know, peer pressure, people mail you said, man, you're still at home with your dad. Man, you're still at home with your parents. Man, you need to go. For what? Why do I need to get out? I don't have no wife. What? Why do I need to get out? Why do I need to get out of the comfort home when I can be preparing myself? Huh? Look at the biblical days. Biblical days. Those young men stayed there until they got ready to get married. They got ready for a wife. Then they went and found them a wife. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Our home is open to our kids as long as they, if they need us. And but I encourage my young men, wait till you prepared to go out, because when you go out, you're a man now. I encourage them. Now, I'm not saying I won't let them come back and stay a night or two. But I think when they get grown, they're men, and they decide they want to go out, be prepared to stay out. You see what I'm saying? But whilst you're at home, take advantage of it. Save that money. Be submissive to the parent. And obey the parent. Amen. You talking about rules? Well, they got rules. If you get your own apartment, you're going to have rules too. And if you don't have rules, you don't have the apartment loan. You're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. So everywhere you go, you're going to have rules.
Right.
And so when you got good parents and a good place to stay, be submissive to it. Because you're going to have plenty of time. There's going to be time that you're going to be out there on your own. Don't worry. You're not going to be at home always. But you're going to be out there on your own. And I can tell you right now, I got married when I'm not kind of like you. I got married when I was 20 years old. And God blessed me to be able to go through military. He blessed me. I got my degree, my bachelor's degree. But I had to work. I had a wife. I think I had all 8 children, all 8 of my children. And I still got my bachelor's degree. Was blessed to go to school, and get my bachelor's degree. It was hard,
Yeah.
but you know what? I did. With the help of God, I did it. And I did it for this purpose. I wanted to be able to tell my children, you can do it. You can do it. But it's much easier if you got the opportunity, be at home with the support of your family and get your education, take it. Take that opportunity. Save that money. Because you get out there, when you paying rent out there, I'm one that never liked to pay rent no way. I always say you giving out money and that and you never own anything. But if you're paying rent, hey, you know, so just don't be quick. Don't be quick.
I like to say this too. I want to, because I was going to, the same points you made, I was kind of a hit, but I want to say this too. Like he said, as a young person, we don't like rules. We don't like regulations. That's why I told you ethics is following the rules of the area that you're in.
Right.
And sometimes we don't want to do that, but I don't care where you go, what job you take, what apartment, like you said, what apartment you in, or wherever you go, you're gonna have rules.
That's right.
And learning how to follow rules will make you a good. It's part of being a man. Now, I think going against your ethics or your morals, then that's different. But you're gonna have rules. Now, when you in a situation like you in right now, young man, sometimes you got to put the pride to the side and go ahead and abide by what needs to be done in order to get to where you want to go. But but on the parent side, when we had to realize that our children had become, when that boy had become a man, and we don't treat him like a young adult, then we had to treat him like one and ease off of the child part. Because when we get, I had to learn this too. When we get older, as we raise a child when they're little, but we guide them when they get older. Like when they become teenagers, stuff, we have to guide them because their mindset and stuff is pretty much done shaped into where it's going to be. But then we guide them, we instill into them. So we have to give them a chance to become a man. We have to give them a chance to become an adult. Let them make the mistakes. We can't, like I think Mike was saying a while ago, sometimes we might not enable, or the word you use, we might, lack of a better word, we might hurt them better than we help them by covering them too much as a parent. So my son, I had to allow him to start growing up. God, I can't protect him from everything. I had to learn that I can teach him, I can guide him, I can be there for him when he needs somebody to lean on, to talk to, or to get some advice from. But I got to let him grow up. So if he's going to stay there, then, and he's showing these are the rules. This is what we come as a compromise with the rules of the house. Now you're a young man now, but this is what I expect from you. What you think about it? Just talk to him like a young man, like I do with mine. I'm talking. I said, son, I'm not talking to you as a father right now. I'm talking to you as a man to man, business or whatever we doing at that time. You got to. That's how you can allow him to grow up as well. If he's not going to be at the apartment, so you have to start talking to him and treating him as a young man and allow him to make mistakes. Now, sometimes the father got to come in and look at me while I'm talking to you. Rick, what was you thinking? Because even if it's at the apartment, you still gonna talk to him like that. So if it's gonna happen, if you're gonna stay there, then y'all got to work together as man to man, renter to rentee, or business to business, and then sometimes father to son. I hope that part gets in there too.
Y'all, this has been a good session. I don't know, AJ, were you asking? I see a question here said, what do you want to do when you grow up? Were you asking him? Or what were you, I don't know, who were you asking somebody this question, AJ? You weren't? Okay, look like I see a comment there. And also, I see another comment here, and I'm gonna let Mark have his final words, and we're gonna close it out. Mac Small Jr., Pastor Small, he said, we are the only people that feel like we should put our kids out when they become adults. We should use it as an opportunity to help them get ahead.
Right.
This is a deep subject that will take a lot more time to explain.
He sure right though.
Yeah.
He got to go. I'm like, I thought that same thing. I said, why am I gonna put my son out? Where he going? He's still in school. He's still trying to do something. He's taking care of it. Okay, son, you stay here as long as you need to stay, as long as you do what you're supposed to do. Now, you know, it gets to a certain point, but right now, it's the time.
Right.
You see?
And it's true, because you know,
It is.
from further south from the central, it'll be 10 of it. All of them will be in one house. All of them. You say, get out, get out, get out, get out.
And go where? They're gonna come right back because I ain't got nothing. I got to cover it. Well, son, I done changed the lock. I don't know what to tell you. But no, as long as you doing what you're supposed to do, as my son doing what he's supposed to do with this home, he got a key to this house. He always, son, I always tell him, son, no matter what happens in your life, you can always come home. Now, how long you stay, might be another situation. But now you can always come home. This home. But now you got to do what's right. You got to do what we've taught you. I can't watch you all the time. But all I can do is teach you. And that's why the Bible tells us, train up a child in the way that you go. That's right. Now, they didn't say they're going to always follow it, but sometime down the line, it's going to come back to their memory. Right. And they're going to, Dad told me this was going to happen. Sometimes you got to learn on your own. Because there's a saying, they say that bulk sense is better than common sense. I always wonder why it always got to be so expensive. Sure. But I appreciate
you, my brother. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for those words. A lot of good stuff was said tonight, and you put forth a lot of good things to help our young men, and we so much appreciate it. We didn't expect anything less.
All right. All right. Lord, we thank you for how you blessed us tonight for this wonderful time with these young people, these young men, this army that you're developing to help build for your kingdom. Lord, hope some things that were said that will be instilled in their lives that will overcome the wiles of the enemy. Look on Mike and his wife and his family as they're trying to keep this camp going in this virtual stage atmosphere. This is a whole new situation, but they're doing a great job, God. And I just want them to just regularly let them know and prophesy with them, let them know that it's going to be a great success and continue to be a great success. And let all those that are involved with it, that are listening to it, be blessed and to retain the things that we were talking about, even the push-ups. In Jesus' name, amen.